Hello, Potterheads! Let's talk about a fan-made story of Gilderoy Lockhart entitled Gilderoy Lockhart and the Merchant of Death. Let's go! Gilderoy Lockhart, OM 3rd class, a man whose shimmering portraits adorned the walls of every respectable wizarding household, was not merely a celebrity. He was, in his own mind, a hero, an intellectual titan, a man of action. His latest self-awed masterpiece, Gilderoy Lockhart and the Glimmering Ghoul, had just hit the shelves, but a new, more thrilling adventure called to him. The Ministry of Magic had put out an unprecedented bounty on the Merchant of Death, a shadowy figure responsible for the illicit trade of cursed artifacts, toxic potions, and, most nefariously, the forbidden art of soul-binding. The merchant, as he was known in hushed tones, was a phantom. His real name was lost to history, his face a blur in the few magical photographs that existed. He was rumored to be one of the top 5 wizarding criminals of all time, a master of deception and dark magic, a man who could outwit even the most seasoned auras and police wizards. The ministry had offered a reward so vast it could fund a small country, and for Gilderoy, it was not the gold that beckoned, but the glory. The chance to be the one, the only one, to bring down this legendary villain. He started his investigation not in the dusty archives of the ministry, but in the flamboyant parlors of the magical elite. He charmed his way through gatherings, his smile a blinding beacon, his stories of past triumphs a captivating symphony. He was searching for whispers, for rumors, for any crumb of information that might lead him to the merchant. His memory was, as he often boasted, a steel trap, and he meticulously filed away every tidbit, every half-heard suggestion. His breakthrough came in the form of a disgruntled Gringotts goblin, a creature he had once saved from a particularly bothersome boggart creature. The goblin, a small, stooped creature named Ringsley, owed him a favor, and with a few well-placed compliments and a promise of a signed photograph, Gilderoy learned of a series of suspicious withdrawals. Transactions rooted through a web of shell accounts and false identities. The trail led him to Nocturne Alley, a place Gilderoy had only ever written about from the safety of his plush office. He donned a disguise, a surprisingly effective one, consisting of a tattered cloak and a rather large, floppy hat, and navigated the grimy streets. The air was thick with the scent of decay and dark magic, a stark contrast to the lavender-scented world he inhabited. He spent days in the alley, his disguise allowing him to fade into the background. He observed, he listened, and he followed the whispers. He heard tales of a man who could conjure storms, a man who could turn solid gold to dust, a man who trafficked in the very essence of despair. He saw the fear in the eyes of the vendors, the way they flinched at the mention of the merchant's name. His investigation culminated in a dilapidated old building, a forgotten warehouse on the edge of the alley. The windows were boarded up, the door sealed with a complex warding charm. This, he knew, was the place. This was the lair of the Merchant of Death. He took a deep breath, his heart thumping in his chest, a mix of fear and exhilarating anticipation. This was it. The moment of truth. He cast a complex, self-designed charm to bypass the wards. It was a spell he called the Lockhart's Labyrinth, a series of interlocking incantations that would confuse and disorient any magical defenses. The door creaked open, revealing a dark, cavernous space. The air was cold and heavy, a tangible weight that pressed down on him. Inside, the warehouse was a graveyard of magical artifacts. Cursed rings, whispering skulls, a cauldron that pulsed with a sickly green light. And there, in the center of the room, was the Merchant of Death. He was not a monster, not a grotesque fiend, but a wizened old man with a face like crumpled parchment and eyes that held the cold, calculating intelligence of a predator. The merchant looked up, his lips curling into a sneer. "Gilderoy Lockhart!" he rasped, his voice like grinding stone. "I read your books. They're dreadfully dull. Full of lies, I imagine." Gilderoy's face, a mask of bravado, faltered for a moment. This man, this villain, had seen through his carefully constructed facade, but he quickly regained his composure. "I assure you, my books are a testament to my unparalleled genius," he said, his voice ringing with false confidence. "But today, you'll witness a feat so amazing, it will make your paltry crimes seem like child's play." The merchant laughed, a dry, rattling sound. "You're a fool, Lockhart. A peacock in a world of eagles. You have no idea what you're dealing with." He raised his wand, and a jet of black flame shot towards Lockhart. Gilderoy dodged the curse, his movements surprisingly agile. He returned fire with a standard, stunning spell, but the merchant simply deflected it, the curse dissipating into a puff of smoke. A fierce duel began, a dance of light and shadow, of curses and counter-curses. The merchant was a master of the dark arts, his spells complex and devastating. Gilderoy, on the other hand, was a master of self-preservation and showmanship. He used a series of flashy, non-lethal spells, each one more theatrical than the last. He conjured a flock of singing canaries to distract the merchant, a move that only earned him a look of utter contempt. He summoned a shimmering shield of pure light, a spell he had invented himself, but the merchant's curses simply tore through it. The merchant's spells were relentless, a curse that felt like 1,000 needles piercing his skin, a hex that caused his body to feel like it was turning to lead. He was losing, and he knew it. The confident mask was slipping, revealing the terrified man beneath. He was outmatched, outgunned, and just as the merchant prepared to deliver the final, fatal blow, a forgotten memory surfaced. It was a spell he had read about in a dusty old grimoire, a spell so obscure and difficult to cast that it was considered apocryphal. It was a spell that didn't just counter a curse, but absorbed its energy, transmuting it into a burst of pure, unadulterated magical power. It was called the Absorbing Anathema, and Gilderoy, in his moments of quiet, unglorified study, had been trying to master it. With a final, desperate burst of energy, he raised his wand. He didn't say the incantation, for the spell had no words. Only a complex series of wand movements and a fierce, unwavering concentration. The merchant's final curse, a dark, pulsing orb of malevolent energy, hurtled towards him. The moment the cuss hit him, a searing pain shot through his body. His vision blurred, his ears rang, and for a moment, he thought he was going to die. But then, a strange thing happened. The pain subsided, replaced by an intense, euphoric surge of power. The dark energy of the curse had been absorbed, transformed, and was now coursing through his veins. He looked at the merchant, his eyes no longer a portrait of fear, but of pure, unadulterated magical might. He raised his wand, and with a single, magnificent, and entirely spontaneous flourish, he unleashed the stored energy. It wasn't a curse, not a hex, but a wave of raw, chaotic, magical force. It hit the merchant with the force of a tidal wave, a blinding white light that filled the room. When the light faded, the merchant of death was no more. He wasn't dead, not in the traditional sense, but his magical essence had been completely dispersed, his being scattered to the four winds. He was gone, erased from existence. Gilderoy, his body trembling with exhaustion and the lingering after-effects of the spell, collapsed to the floor. He had done it. He, Gilderoy Lockhart, had defeated one of the most dangerous wizards of all time. He had almost died, his life flickering like a candle in the wind, but he had persevered. He lay there for a moment, the silence of the warehouse, a profound thing, a testament to his victory. Later, when the ministry aurors arrived, they found him a disheveled but triumphant hero, surrounded by the remnants of the merchant's dark artifacts. He was weak, but his smile was as bright as ever. He had a new story to tell, a new book to write, a new chapter in his already legendary life. And this time, he knew every single word would be the truth. What do you think about this fan-made story? Kindly comment and subscribe.